What a world. What a world. Welcome. So, Brand New Show. As you know, I am Brand New, like always on all podcast platforms everywhere. Brand New Show. Social media platforms Instagram, Threads, Brand New, Facebook, the Brand New Show, and of course, YouTube channel. Oh, TikTok. Sorry. TikTok, Brand New Show. Go follow me on all those social media platforms. I would truly, truly appreciate it. Really, where you go, though, is the YouTube channel, Brand New Show. YouTube channel, Brand New Show. Go follow me on all those social media platforms in the YouTube channel. Helps if you like the vids, like the shorts, like an algorithm. It would truly, truly help me if you did. So let's do this, man. It's Tuesday, so you already know what it is. It is I Bleed Sports. Yeah. A lot of things going on. You got playoffs, WNBA, now the MLB. And of course, football is here. We are officially in full swing. Get into that, excuse me, good old October football. College football is officially heating up. I got my new crazy six. Of course, some teams lost last week. Got my eyes on college football for week 6 coming into this upcoming week. Skeptical game of the week. Excuse me. Most interesting game of the week. My upset game of the week and my game of the week. Of course, I got my big four in the NFL. And of course, I got my levels of warning. Yeah. So let's start it off with this WNBA. Now, this recording is going to be out after tonight's game. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Fever and the Aces, but I will say this. If the Fever, the Indiana Fever, the WNBA Indiana Fever get to the the WNBA finals without Caitlin Clark, y'all gonna have to stop telling everybody that this girl's generational. And y'all gotta stop telling everybody that this girl's this game changing player. She is a piece to a puzzle. She is not the fucking puzzle itself. She is a piece to a puzzle. Now, if the Fever lose tonight, then I already know the narratives. Oh, they should have had Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark would have won, put points on the board. Yes, Caitlin Clark would have put 30 points on the board. Great. What the fuck does that mean? The team actually was better after she got injured. And this isn't like Caitlin Clark got hurt 10 games before the playoffs. She's been out since like the All Star break. Like she's been out since like the All Star break. Like, so the Fever has had to figure out who they were without her for fucking months. And yet they are one game away from being in the WNBA finals. And by the time this actually comes out, they might even be in the WNBA finals. And again, this is no knock to Caitlin Clark. This is just me feeling like how sports media likes to talk. They talk about this girl like she was this game changing, life altering great player, and it's like her team got better when she wasn't even on the court, and they got close or damn near in the WNBA finals without her. You can't even use that excuse anymore that she's the best thing on the planet. Like, you can't even use that excuse anymore. If the WNBA finals end up being the Fever and the Mercury, I don't even know how you make that argument anymore. Like, which, and crazy as it sounds, what you think Caitlin Clark brings to the Fever is actually what the Fever should be looking like is what the Chicago Sky looked like without Angel Reese for most of the time she was gone. Angel Reese, when she wasn't even on the court with the Chicago Sky, they were like, what, two wins, like 10, 12 losses, some shit like that? That's the difference. The fact that Caitlin Clark has been off the court for damn near months and the Fever have a chance to make it to the WNBA finals and possibly win it, that's fucking crazy, bro. That's fucking crazy. And I'm not trying to, again, trying to dismiss Caitlin Clark's, but I'm just saying, she's the greatest WNBA player of all time. If she was the greatest WNBA player of all time, her team should not be going to the WNBA finals without her. And better without her. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking nuts. Maybe she's just a really good player on a really good team. And sometimes she rises to the occasion. But for most times, she's a ball stopper. And she can't do what she can't really be that dominant player like you want her to be because her team won't work with her just being a player that scores 40 fucking points a night. It's not gonna work. I can't wait to see who's going to the WNBA finals. I know the Phoenix Mercury have bounced the Minnesota Lynx from the playoffs. Minnesota, who had pretty much damn near the best record for most of the year, was a runner-up last year in the WNBA finals to the Liberty. They got bounced. I feel like Minnesota just never really regained what they were earlier in the season, especially when Collier got hurt. When she got hurt, the Minnesota Lynx just kind of like took a dip. Like, and then when she came back, they kind of try to still fix their chemistry. They're trying to get their chemistry back on, and they survived the storm. The first series, they survived the storm, but it was just like, yeah, but this team it's something's up with this team. It just felt like, nah, yeah, but something's up with this team, and then they lose. They lose, man. They lose. And pretty much in a gentleman's sweep. You know, they barely even got to a game 5. They lost 3-1. At least they got to the semifinals because the Liberty, the Liberty, the Liberty didn't even get out the first round, and that's the defending champions. They didn't even get out the first fucking round. Now you could say Brianna Stewart got hurt, and that hurt them a lot. Yeah, but with a team like Sabrina and that's cool, and the players that you have surrounded that team with, the fact that you didn't even get out the first fucking round is kind of disturbing. That's not good. And of course, they ended up firing their head coach. I know a lot of people was like, "Why would you fire the head coach that took you to the WNBA finals for the last couple of years, especially 2 years ago, especially last year winning you the finals? Why would you get rid of a coach like that?" Because we lost in the first fucking round of the damn playoffs. That's why. What the fuck do you mean? Why would I get rid of you? Yeah. Speaking of playoffs, MLB baseball is here. The Tigers, Detroit Tigers, who squandered the division away to the Guardians. Played the Guardians again this time around, and look at that. The Tigers actually could beat the Guardians. Look at that. They beat the Guardians, I think, what, like 2-1. Their ace was on the mound, did his thing. Will they now tomorrow they play again in Indiana. I'm Indiana, Lord of mercy. Cleveland. They play again in Cleveland. The Tigers have never had a problem with the ace. It's always been about who comes after him. And if that is the case, I don't know. The Guardians may get game 2 and 3, and get to the second round, the the ALDS. But we shall see. Um, my Cubs, my Cubs won today as well. They are in the playoffs. They are in the wild card round. They're playing against the San Diego Padres. Bro, if you understand how much I wanted the San Diego Padres to be somewhat of a competitive team for years, the fact that the Diamondbacks have been to a World Series in the 2020s and the Padres have not is fucking crazy to me. That is crazy to me. The Diamondbacks have been to a fucking World Series in the 2020s and the Padres have not. That is nuts. That I don't even know how you explain that shit. I have no idea. The Cubs won today, 3-1 over the Padres at Wrigley Field. You know I'm happy about that shit. Come on now. You know I'm happy about that shit. We need one more game tomorrow. Hopefully we get it. We get one more game tomorrow, and we're off to the next round in LDS. Um, the Yankees and the Red Sox are playing right now in the Bronx, and then the Dodgers play. Who the fuck the Dodgers play tonight? I know it's not the Phillies, and I know it's not the Brewers. Oh, the Reds, the Cincinnati Reds. So Ohio, stand up. I mean, you got Cincinnati and you got Cleveland in the playoffs. So one of them can make it. You never know. Oh, both of them can get their ass beat. We said they're thinking it's a whole other conversation. It's been a long damn. I don't know how long it's been since the Reds have been actually in the playoffs. It's been a minute since the Cincinnati Reds have been in the playoffs. So the fact that the Cincinnati Reds are in the playoffs, that's an intriguing fucking series because of how the Dodgers have definitely played in the last couple of playoffs. I mean, let's not. Okay, I know last year they won the World Series, but there have been years where they have literally shit the bed against teams, and you're just like, why would you lose to that team? Again, like I've always said, playoffs are different than the regular season. It's a different animal. 162 games are different than having to win in 2 and 3 days. It's a completely different animal. So, yeah, and you have to win it. I know the Phillies, the Brewers are waiting on the Cubs and the Padres. Like the Brewers have the number one spot, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they play either the Cubs or the Padres. And the Dodgers and the Reds go to Philly, if I'm not mistaken. Seattle and Toronto, two teams you never thought probably here in the playoffs. Seattle and Toronto are the 1 and 2 seeds in the AL, and they have a chance. And of course, you know, but everybody, of course, after this past Sunday was talking about the Mets collapse, but I don't think the Mets had a bad collapse because I didn't think the Mets were going anywhere this year any fucking way. But the Astros, not the Astros, now them motherfuckers had a collapse. Them motherfuckers had a collapse. It's one thing to lose. It's a whole other thing to lose and not even make the playoffs. Like you didn't even make the playoffs. And you were winning the division. That's the crazy part. The Astros were literally winning the division like a week ago. Excuse me. And then they just completely had a collapse at the end of the year, which is kind of crazy to think about it. Like, but yeah, man, college football. My crazy six of this week. Now, a couple teams lost last week. My LSU Tigers, of course, lost, which I'm not really that surprised by. Um, Florida State lost, which again I wasn't really that surprised by. Um, so a couple teams lost in my crazy six. So here we go. New crazy six. Number one, the U. Miami. Miami is the number one team still in my polls. They will always probably be my number one team in my polls. Miami's one. Miami had a bye last week. They are 4-0. Now this week they play two. They go to their arch rival, Florida State, the Seminoles. They play the Seminoles this weekend, coming off of actually beating South Florida and in Florida in the last couple of weeks. Miami's defense is for real, man. That game is, and I'll talk about that game in a minute. I'll talk about Florida State, Miami in a minute. When I get to my game of the week, my eyes on college football. But yeah, Miami is 4-0. They're back this week. They go to Florida State. That's gonna be an interesting game. Number two, Ohio State. They are 4-0. They played last week against Washington. Had to go to Washington first time on the road, and they did enough to win. 24-7 was the final score. It wasn't super over the top. It wasn't crazy. They didn't dominate. They did enough. They did enough to win. This upcoming week, they play Minnesota, and that's another game that I will be talking about this upcoming week in a minute. Now, they play Minnesota, and Minnesota comes to them. So Minnesota has to go to Ohio State. Number three, Oregon. They're 5-0. They're on bye this week, and they should be on bye after playing against Penn State this past weekend. What have I always said about Penn State? I don't give a shit about where they're ranked. I don't care. They will always lose when they actually have to play somebody that's better than them. Oregon went into Penn State, went to overtime, and won the goddamn game. This is why I've always said I don't trust James Franklin. I don't trust Brian Kelly. I don't trust certain coaches in big fucking games because they just shit the fucking bed. Oregon is 5-0. They're on a bye this week. Number 4, Texas A&M. Texas A&M is number 4 in my polls. They officially have entered the top 4. That's crazy 6 of mine. They're 4-0. They play against Mississippi State. Texas A&M, I think, was on bye last week. Or did they play Auburn last week? I think they played Auburn last week. Texas A&M is an interesting team, man. While everybody's saying it's Ole Miss and it's Alabama and it's now Georgia and it's Texas, and Texas A&M feels like the team that has built their team the best and have actually the best quarterback in the SEC. I think Texas A&M has the best quarterback in the SEC. Miles, Merciless Reed, I think he's the best quarterback in the SEC. I think he's better than the Ole Miss quarterback. I think he's better than Arch Manning. I think he's better than Gunner from Georgia. I think he's better than Ty Simpson of Alabama. I think he's better than Garrett Nussmeier of LSU. I think he's the best quarterback. The way this team has transformed in just a year, when he first took the starting job away, came in that second half against LSU and took the game away from LSU, to now where he can actually throw the ball and he's a dual threat quarterback. Yeah, Texas A&M has the best quarterback in the SEC. They play Mississippi State this week. So that's an interesting game. Mississippi State took Tennessee to the wire last week, and Mississippi State is not no pushover. So that's gonna be an interesting game. I know Kyle Bell is gonna be ringing the lot in that game. Number 5, it is the Ole Miss Rebels. They're 5-0. They're on a bye this week. After beating my LSU Tigers. They really didn't do shit. LSU just sucks offensively. That offense just sucks. We could have capitalized on certain plays and certain situations. I mean, we had like 1 or 2 turnovers against Ole Miss, and they just couldn't capitalize. Like the offense just sucks of LSU. It's just fucking bad. They have not fixed it. And Ole Miss did enough to win the game. They did enough defensively. Defense still, to me, Ole Miss defense is still a little shaky. I don't think Ole Miss defense is perfect. I don't think Ole Miss is one of those teams in the SEC that's just this game-changing, life-altering team. I think if they start playing against the real competition, again, the SEC is in a very interesting place right now. But when they play against like Alabama, Georgia, somebody like that, when they can actually give them a bit of a game, like a Tennessee, where offensively and defensively is kind of more of a struggle. Like the offense actually knows what they're doing, and the defense can actually keep the game intact. Ole Miss is gonna lose. I don't know how to I don't know how to curve that question, but or that answer I should say. But yeah, they're gonna probably lose. But they're 5-0 and they're on a bye. Correct. And number 6, closing out the crazy 6, it is the Indiana Hoosiers. They're 5-0. I forgot who they played last week, but they beat that ass. A couple weeks ago, they played Illinois, and they fucking routed Illinois. That shit was bad, bro. Like you was just watching that game, like, God damn. Indiana's a good team, bro. That is a crazy thing, man. They lost their quarterback and had to replace running backs and quarterbacks and all this stuff, and then they just ended up becoming still a really good fucking team. They might actually have a better offense this year than they had last year, which is very interesting, crazy to say. But the question for Indiana isn't about can you beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. The question is, can you beat the teams that you're not supposed to beat, which is like Ohio State, that's Penn State, that's Ohio State, that's Penn State, that's Michigan, that's Wisconsin. Like those are the teams that I don't think Indiana. I don't have the question. I don't question them against Nebraska. I don't question them against Illinois. I don't question them against USC. I question them against Ohio State, Michigan. Like teams that you haven't really been in the upper echelon against yet, but we shall see. And to get to the Big Ten championship game and to be in a Big Ten type of championship stage, to be that team, you have to beat those teams. You don't want to turn into like Penn State. You don't want to turn into like Penn State where they can only beat the teams they're supposed to beat, and then when they play the actual real competition, they just fold. You don't want to do that. But that is my crazy six. Awesome college football. Skeptical game of the week. The most interesting game of the week. Upset game of the week. And the game of the week. Let's get into it. My skeptical game of the week. It is Boise State versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame. On the 2-game winning streak after losing their first 2 games. On the 2-game winning streak after losing their first 2 games of the season. They absolutely beat the hell out of Arkansas this past weekend. They beat the shit out of Arkansas. Is Notre Dame back? Like I've said numerous times, and they said this past weekend, and I'm finally happy somebody fucking said it. Notre Dame is going to have a hard time trying to convince people they should be in the college playoffs. Like I have said, the teams you have lost to, Miami, who's the other team, and Texas A&M. These are the 2 teams that Notre Dame has actually physically lost to this year. The best thing for Notre Dame is that both of those teams stay undefeated and they win the conference. Because if they do win the rest of their games, Notre Dame can sit there and say, well, we didn't just lose to anyone. We lost to the SEC champion and the ACC champion, who are both undefeated and probably 1 and 2 in your seeding. That is the best thing Notre Dame could actually ask for. Win out your schedule, beat everybody, then go to, and then hope and pray Miami and Texas A&M run a gauntlet. That's the best thing they can do. Because if one of those teams or both of those teams fall at any point, Notre Dame's argument to be in the college playoffs is dead. It's dead. This is why this game is very interesting. Because Boise State this year has completely and utterly showed you. It was all the Austin Gentry show last year. Austin Gentry was the best fucking player on the goddamn field for Boise State. Boise State this year has not had a great year. They're okay. They've played enough. They've done enough to stay relevant. But even in that sense, Notre Dame needs a true beatdown of Boise State. They played Purdue. They played Arkansas. They need one of those games where they just show everybody, like, no, we are the best team. Those first 2 games, we just got beat by better teams. And that is why this is a skeptical game. Most interesting game of the week. That's Minnesota versus Ohio State, man. Minnesota is 3-1. Sounds crazy, but they're 3-1. Ohio State's 4-0. Ohio State's first road game was last week against Washington. They're back home again this week against Minnesota. Minnesota's always a weird team because they have the running game that can kill a clock. They have the offense that can stay up with you, and then they have an actual defense that can keep you out the end zone. Now, the best thing for Ohio State is that they're at home. That's the best thing for Ohio State. But this is their first real, actual old school Big Ten game. So let's see how this is going to look and how this is going to feel for that team. Let's see. Upset game of the week: Mississippi State versus Texas A&M. Told you, Mississippi State ain't no joke. They ain't no joke, man. Texas A&M is a good team, really good team. But these are the types of games you're gonna need to win. You're gonna need to dominate. You're gonna need to show that, like, nah, this is a completely different Texas A&M than the teams you've seen in the past. This is the types of games that you have to do. You're at home. Mississippi State is coming to you. They're coming off of a loss to Tennessee. You need to prove that you're that team. in the SEC. And if you beat a Mississippi State, that's one of the ways you can do it. Will they get it done? I don't know. Like I said, Mississippi State is no pushover. They're actually a really good fucking team. They can actually shock Texas A&M this week, and I would not be surprised. Game of the week. It is Miami versus Florida State. Florida State last Friday, I literally said that it was a weird game Friday. It's weird. It's a Friday. You're on the road. First time on the road, really, against, a ACC team like Virginia. Caught your ass off guard. You came back a couple times. They had you down. You went into overtime, and Virginia beat you. Also could have been looking to this week, which is them versus Miami. Well, now you're here. Miami had a bye. You didn't. You coming off of a loss. They're not. It's a lot of things that Florida State can easily sit here and say, yeah, this should not work for us. This should be the worst type of time for us. This is the worst type of feeling. This is the worst game. We can literally lose 2 consecutive games. But this is Miami and Florida State. This is a fucking battle. This is going to be fun. This is going to be intriguing. And this is going to be goddamn entertaining. I'm so goddamn happy that there is no wrestling this weekend. So I can just watch this fucking game in goddamn peace. I will be watching this shit and being like, this is old school college, baby. This is old school college, baby. Let's do this. That is all. That is it. On to the NFL. Ah, oh shit. Big four. Oh shit. Big four. These are my 4 teams. I don't do 6 in the NFL. I don't do 5. I don't do 10. I do 4. 4. And number 1. It is the Philadelphia Eagles. Who fuck are we kidding? Philadelphia. They beat the unbeatable at that time, Tampa Bay. They beat Tampa in Tampa. And they pretty much controlled the game. It wasn't like it was a close game. It was, don't let the score fool you. Like the Eagles beating the shit out of Tampa. Like it's like, don't let the score fool you. I do believe the Eagles need to figure out their shit. This offense is very just do enough to win. And because they're playing so many teams they know aren't actually able to outscore them, and they can't really outperform them and outplay them because they're either too young or they're too inexperienced in those types of games. So they can easily win those games. And the Eagles are doing enough just to win. They're 4-0, but they don't feel like an actual 4-0 team. They feel like a team that's 4-0, but it's like if you played an actual team that was better than you, you might lose. And that's the fucking problem with the Eagles. They're 4-0, but it's like, yeah, okay, we shall see. This week, they play against the Denver Broncos, which is going to be an intriguing fucking game because Denver needs another win. They need a big win. And since the week 1 game that they had against who they play week 1? Tennessee. The Broncos have not really looked particularly great. I mean, let's be real. I mean, you got gifted a Cincinnati team that's reeling and have no fucking quarterback. Joe Burrow's hurt. Like you got gifted a team last night on a silver platter. You should have won that game. If you didn't win that game, it would have been a problem. So you're playing against a 2-2 Denver Broncos team, Philly. This is an intriguing game for you because you need to win this game and you need to show dominance. They haven't shown dominance yet this whole season. I think that's kind of why we're also a little bit eerie about this team. Saquon really hasn't got going. They haven't really done shit with the passing game. They're just relying on the tush push all goddamn game. And again, I'm not opposed to tush push. I think the tush push is a great play. The plan is for you to stop it. That's what the fuck the plan is. But the problem with this situation is that it feels like that's what Philly does. They play the game safe, too safe. They're winning, so the goal is to always win. That's not the problem. The problem is it's like you're too safe. It's like it's like you don't want to do too much shit. So it makes it even. Like I said, they're 4-0. They're winning games. It's not like they're starving for anything. But it's just like what we saw against the Rams. Let's see more of that. Now, of course, you were forced to do that, whether like you wanted to do that, you were forced to do that. But at the same time, that was the best your offense looked all fucking year because you were forced into doing it. So, shall see. Number two is the Detroit Lions. They're 3-1. They play against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. Lord of mercy. God, I'm so sorry for Detroit, man. I'm so sorry. I mean Cincinnati. Cincinnati, y'all did nothing wrong. Joe Burrow just got hurt at the wrong fucking time, bro. Lord have mercy. Detroit is 3-1. Now looking at that game against now looking at that game against the Green Bay Packers, in week 1. Now looking at Green Bay and now looking at Detroit, you're like, oh, okay, that really was just because the defense and the offensive coordinator were just new. They were young. They were new. You had to figure out the new offensive line because the offensive line, the center got hurt or the center had to retire. Like, it's a completely different offensive staff. It's a completely defensive staff. It's different. It's just a completely different everything. So it makes sense. It makes total fucking sense. Gotcha. But this is the thing about this situation, man. The Lions are 3-1, and they have looked like the better team. They look like a way better fucking team. Like, it's not even close. Like, if you were to tell me that the Lions got their ass handed to them against Green Bay in week 1, you'd be like, yeah, okay, cool. But then they will reel off and go off and start just beating the shit out of people. It's like the Lions needed that loss. It's like they needed to lose that way so they could finally be like, okay, all right, see what happens when you don't prepare? And that's exactly what happened. They're 3-1. They play Cincinnati this weekend. I feel so sorry for Cincinnati. They got the short end of a fucking stick if I ever seen one. Lord have mercy. Number 3, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are 3-1. They're on a bye, but this past week they played Minnesota in Dublin, Ireland. Minnesota. You tried. You're in the game, I guess. But Pittsburgh, Lord have mercy, man. Pittsburgh's 3-1. This is why I continuously say when everybody and their mama will tell you Mike Tomlin should get fired, and Mike Tomlin's the problem in Pittsburgh, and shut the fuck up. Mike Tomlin is the best head coach still. It's been 20 years, and this man still finds ways to win. He finally got a quarterback, and they're 3-1. And the defense for the first time this season looked like the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. That's scary. They're 3-1, and the defense just started to kind of play like, okay, that's the Pittsburgh. That's disturbing. That's fucking disturbing. And then you look at the AFC North, and you say to yourself, Cincinnati has no Joe Burrow. Cincinnati has no Joe Burrow. Baltimore is about to be without Lamar Jackson for at least 2 to 3 games. So that's 2 or 3 weeks. And now you have also, and Cleveland is just a complete another dumpster fire. Like, and Cleveland is a complete another dumpster fire. Yo, they might win the division, and it might not even be that fucking hard. They can win the division by week 8. By week 8, this division could be over. You're not getting Joe Burrow's not coming back anytime soon for Cincinnati. By the time Lamar comes back, we don't know what Baltimore is going to be or look like. And Cleveland's a complete another dumpster fire. Yo, this division's wrapped the fuck up. Pittsburgh could just walk to the playoffs. That's a damn shame. Pittsburgh will walk to the playoffs. Pittsburgh Pittsburgh will walk to the fucking playoffs. That's fucking crazy. I said this season depended on Aaron Rodgers. He's showing up. He's showing up. I gotta give him his credit. He's showing the fuck up about fucking time. Number 4. It is the Buffalo Bills. They're 4-0. Boy, did they ever struggle against my Saints. What the fuck was that? I sat there and was like, okay, what the fuck is this? The Saints almost beat the fucking Buffalo Bills, ladies and gentlemen. And that's not a game. That's not a joke. That's not me fucking around with you. That's serious. That's an act that actually almost happened. The Bills are 4-0. The reason why I'm not putting the Bills on my list is because outside of the Baltimore Ravens game, the Bills have played absolutely no one. They played literally the Jets, who are still winless. They played the Dolphins, who played the Jets, who finally got their first win last night. And then they played the Saints, who was winless. And I'm supposed to give these motherfuckers credit for nothing. Again, they're on the list now. They're 4-0. Congratulations, but let's be a fucking 100. 3 out of the 4 games you've actually played, you have not looked like a good team. You have not. The Miami game shouldn't have been that fucking close. The New Orleans game really shouldn't have been that damn close. And then the Baltimore game, now we know how bad Baltimore's defense really is. And you got lucky. The only game you actually looked like a good team was the Jets. So 3 out of your 4 games, don't look at the score. Look at the team. Fuck the score. Look at the team. They basically got lucky in 3 of the 4 games they played in so far this year. They're 4-0, but this is why I keep saying when people sit here and try to tell me, oh, the records and the stats and the numbers. Man, fuck that. I'm watching these games. They don't look like a team that's good. And if they play against, let's say, Kansas City again, Kansas City going to beat them. Kansas City going to the Super Bowl. I think Pittsburgh will beat them. I think Pittsburgh will beat them. I think Pittsburgh will beat them. I think Kansas City beats them. You better hope and pray that this weekend ain't a precursor to what might happen later on in the year, which is New England. And if you lose to New England, who's starting to catch fire, and they're starting to kind of figure themselves out a little bit, and they're starting to say, oh, wait a minute. The 2 games we've actually lost, especially that Pittsburgh game, they should never lost that Pittsburgh game, but they lost it. In that Raiders game, which was the first game of the year, good luck, man. Good fucking luck, dude. That was a warning of the NFL, man. Yellow, caution. Orange, panic time. And red is good old DOA. Let's get into it, man. Yellow, caution. It's the Packers. 2-1-1. Like I said, if you told me game 1 of the NFL season when they played Detroit and beat the hell out of Detroit, I was ready. I was like 2 games in. I was like, yo, the Packers might be going to the Super Bowl. Man, they going to the Super Bowl, bro. Like this Michael Parsons feels like a Reggie Wayne decision. Like it felt like everything was lined up perfectly for them. And they lose to the Browns because the offense couldn't move the ball. And you lose to the Browns. What? And then you lose, and then you tie the Cowboys? You tie the Cowboys. And it wasn't like it's 40-40. Like it's a defensive, it was 40-40. Your defense didn't do shit that game. They literally just let Dallas score 40 fucking points on you. I don't know what the fuck Green Bay is. 1 week, your defense does everything they need to do, but your offense can't score. Then the next week, your offense is putting up them points, but the defense, this vaunted defense, shits the bed. It's like, what are we doing? I think Green Bay feels more like Philly of last year, where it's like they still are trying to figure themselves out. They're still trying to figure themselves out. It's going to take a minute. Once the offense finally clicks and that defense finally understands what Michael Parsons really is, and they figure out the packages that he needs to be in, It's going to be interesting. But the Green Bay Packers right now are just in a really bad situation. 4 games into the season, you beat Detroit really bad in week 1. You caught the Washington Commanders on a short week. And for the last 2 weeks, you lost to literally one of the worst teams in football in the Browns because you couldn't score over 10 points. And then you couldn't stop the Cowboys from scoring 40 points. It's like, what the fuck is the Packers, bro? What is this? I guess, man. Orange panic time, and that's the Ravens. 1-3. I did this when they lost the first time this season with the Bills. Maybe the Ravens turn it around. They're gonna figure it out. Maybe. No, there's no more maybes. You know what the fuck I want to say, man? And I just said this about Mike Tomlin. We need to have a conversation with John Harbaugh now. It's official. Like, John Harbaugh needs this conversation. The same shit y'all wanted to say about Mike Tomlin, all of these discouragings about Mike Tomlin that, oh, he can't win no more. He gets in the playoffs and he shits the bed. Oh, he can't do all that shit y'all said about Mike Tomlin. Y'all need to start saying that shit about John Harbaugh. There's too many times where this dude has played, he's coached this team, and they just have shit the bed. It's one thing to give up a 4th quarter lead. It's a whole nother thing for your team to look worse this year than they've looked in any other year. And you didn't do shit. And I've said this numerous times about a lot of these teams this offseason. They really didn't do nothing. They really didn't do a damn thing. You know, a lot of these teams really didn't do a damn thing to change their offense, change their team. But this is the thing about the Ravens. They're 1-3. They're 1-3. Lamar's hurt. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks. Your defense is just fucking terrible. Derrick Henry is fumbling the football now. It's just like, what the fuck is going on with that? Isaiah Likely is not healthy, which is making you force Mark Andrews into a situation where, outside of the Detroit game, he hasn't really been good this year. I don't know what the hell the Ravens are. The Ravens just suck. It's not good, man. And like I said, man, and everybody that was ready to throw in the towel for Mike Tomlin and say it's over for him, I think we need to start having that conversation about John Harbaugh, man. And like now. Like right the fuck now. And red is DOA. That's Tennessee Titans. Tennessee's 0-4. What Tennessee needs to do is just fire the head coach. He's not gonna help you. I saw some dumbass on fucking whatever channel, CBS Sports something, and he was like, "Oh man, Will Levis was not this bad." Yes, the fucking shut up. Cam Ward has a head coach that don't know what the fuck he's doing. That's one of those you gave somebody responsibilities that he shouldn't have probably fucking had. We've had now 2 years of this dude, and he can't fucking get it done. He doesn't know what he's doing. He was supposed to be this great play caller, and he can't fucking call plays. When you get shut out in a game against a division rival, when you played them 2 consecutive, you played them more than any fucking team in the NFL. You play them 2 times out of the year. You know you're playing them 2 times, and you get shut out against a team, by the way. A team, by the way, that themselves were winless. The Texans ain't won a game all year, and they came into their building and beat your ass. And it wasn't even close. Cam Ward was right. Their ass. They need to fire their head coach. That defense of last year was great. It's nothing now. There's nothing to hold on to. Tennessee has just shit the bed, man. I can see Tennessee's head coach being the first coach getting fired because this shit is bad. This shit is bad, man. But that is it, man. I'll talk to you guys next this week. More football, more sports, more sports. WNBA finals should be here next week. Playoffs of the MLB should be heating up. Basketball's around the corner. So I'll be talking about that coming up soon. Do my NBA preview show coming up soon. And of course, like I said, football. So that's neither. That's next week. I'll tell you guys soon. Peace.